Hello. Let's see who shows up to come hang out. This wasn't a really long since I guess planned stream. I kind of just decided to do it. I wanted to do a stream the other day, but I was exhausted, so I ended up just going to sleep. And then obviously, I think it was like I talked about right before Christmas I got sick, and then obviously it was Christmas, and then around New Year's, and I had to work on some other shit. But so that's cleared up now, so we'll see how things are going. It doesn't look like anybody's here yet, so it's a good time for me to go and tweet out the stream, get stuff kind of set up. This one today, I definitely want... Oh, what's going on, Jared Punch? I want to just kind of chat. Like, I'm fine with talking about, you know, if we talk about, like, the fairy tale chapters, what's coming up, Eden Zero. Oh, hang on, let me mute the stream real quick. You know, we talk about stuff in Shonen Jump, Black Clover. We talk about One Piece, and right here. I'll talk about the Mashal chapter, too. And I've been telling people... I know, like... Black Clover, like, we're in an interesting part in the overall story, but in terms of it being from, like, chapter to chapter, it's been not as exciting to read week by week. Like, I feel like after we get through this big first chunk and, like, characters start to reunite and we start getting the ball rolling again with Lucius and everything, it'll get way more exciting to go into every week. But for now, it just kind of feels like because not a lot of stuff is happening, it's a lot of exposition. But part of it, I think it's because the arc started out really fast and then immediately came to a slow pace. And then because of that, it just feels like not as much is happening. Where it's like usually when we are in the start of the other parts in the story, like fresh into arc. It's like the very beginning of the... Like you compare it like the very beginning of the Spade arc. There was a lot more consistent, like crazy stuff happening where we've been finding out information and backstory and whatnot. With like Ichika and what's going on with Yami's family and whatnot. But it's not as like eye-catching and attention-grabbing as, like, you know, obviously, like, different places getting raided by the Spade, starting to get into devil lore. Like, I think there should be things going on that we should be, like, dipping into every other chapter to get us hyped. Like, imagine it's like, oh yeah, every time we see Asta and them, it's calm, it's kind of chill. But every time we see the people in the Clover, they're serious, they're pissed off. They're getting prepped for war, and then it's like you see Lucius and his crew, and it's like them like making more paladins and just getting their forces prepped up. Where it's like, oh well, maybe the Clover and them, they think that the enemy, like on a scale with like all their forces, when it's like I don't know, a 50, but they're actually a 200, and you see like, oh, we have way more forces than what you'd expect and whatnot. Like one of those scenes. I think that would be really hype. Let me post this out real quick. I'll just say, like, sudden Saturday. I'll say Saturday bullshit stream. Okay. I just want to get that out there. Hopefully, once the Asa Zenten is shown, the story could pick up in pace. I think a lot of people would like that. The thing about the Zenten is, like, I have no real, like, big hype for it, but it's just because I don't really know what Asta's is going to be, because it just seems to be like, oh, you're temporarily increasing the power or movement of an attack. I think if Asta was going to make it, like, really cool, it wouldn't, because, like, I was thinking about it, it's like, it's probably going to be, like, you know, a really big mega attack. I think it'd be cooler if Asta, instead of it just being, like, a straight big power boost, like, oh, mega black divider. Like, what if it was similar to how, like, Ichika did those multi-strikes? Asta could do multi-strikes, but for anti-magic. Where it's like, he, you know, say, like, 3 attacks are coming from him. He swings once, but he uses Zeten, so it splits the attack to hit those 2. But instead, also, like, it's like, more of, like, the either multitude or extension of the sword. Like, oh, he swings, he uses it to just extend out the blade effect. Where it's like, you don't see the blade, but the effect around the blade is, like, much longer, so it, like, would catch characters off guard, or do something like that where it just provides a boost. Like, it's more of a foundational increase. Similar to, like, Shiki getting Wormhole. I like that Shiki got this upgrade that isn't just like, oh yeah, it's some crazy new, like, you know, enemy destroyer. It's like, oh well, now he's got a whole extra shift to his mobility and how he can move around and approach his opponents. Something like that for Asta, I think, would be optimal. It's going to depend on exactly how it's depicted and what exactly we see once Asta actually uses it. I don't know, Zenten, it's like, I'm just not really hyped for it. I really like the idea that Asta was going to get his own custom sword. He's going to get something forged by, like, the people who made the original swords or something like that. That's still a mystery right now. We're still waiting on in the series. Excuse me, dogs. I'm busy right now. My dogs are trying to wrestle right in the middle of doing this. Unless Tabata does want to do a next, like he wants to continue Black Clover, but not with just Asta and them. Like, he wants to do, like, oh, it's next gen. It's another kid with the Black Clover grimoire, something like that. And then, like, because, like, if he just wants to obviously keep Black Clover as it is, he can, you know, tell us about the swords and whatnot. But say, like, he wants to do a next gen, there are some mysteries that he could keep and then not tell us in Black Clover, but tell us in, like, you know, whatever the sequel would be, or continuation, or whatever part 2, you know, whatever it would kind of amount to. Something like that, where it just ends up really kind of, like, telling out more. One second. One second. One second. One second. I've been talking to this dude who's a Black Clover stan that just, like, he doesn't understand how feats work. Like, he's one of those dudes where it's like, oh, they said Lucifaro's a threat to the continent, so he's continental. He's a threat to the world. He's planetary. And then it's like he comes out, and none of his feats or anything he does actually performs that level. But it's like, yeah, well, they said it. And then it's like, well, what happened when we actually saw things and the author actually put it on page instead of just characters talking? It's like, well, but a character said it. And then it's just like, you're fucking retarded. He's badass. Who's badass? Always thought Asta makes a sword made of anti-magic. Is that too OP? You think it would sort of expectations if Tabata wanted to? The problem with anti-magic is affixed to too many things. It's like Natsu can burn magic, but that's not its primary thing. It's a secondary effect. And I think the problem with the nullification power as the main thing is it becomes the fix too often. Like, I really actually I would have liked to see what Tabata would have done if he went with the original one-shot plan, where Asta, instead of anti-magic, his swords were designed to just counter wizards. Like, if you read the one-shot, instead the Demon Dweller was like a magic stealing sword. So it's like, if he could catch your spell, he can equip it and use that essentially onto his sword. Different, but, like, you could work different forms of, you know, quote-unquote anti-magic and anti-wizardry fighting into that to kind of make it into a similar but different style. It's, what's going on? Isa Mikhail Mahmoud, right? I think. What's going on, though? This is unexpected. Yeah, I'm just doing a random Saturday stream because I meant to stream the other day, but I was not feeling it, so I decided to do one today. And then I guess it says channel updates, because one thing it was last 100 Years Quest chapter. I didn't think I was going to be able to make the live chapter reaction, I guess, because of a new job that I'd started, but I didn't like the job, so I ended up kind of parting ways. So right now it's back on, at least for this Tuesday. So luckily I tried that job out and realized I didn't like it in a week where there wasn't a 100 Years Quest chapter, because we should be starting to get in, because I assume the next chapter isn't going to be crazy, but we're going to be getting why Sabretooth is involved. Like, Sabretooth is going to pull out a book, or they're going to know something, or like, oh, we actually have, you know, some contact that's been contracted with us for whatever reason. Like, oh, we got him when Sabretooth got really big, and we wanted to find out about more important big magic things, or whatever. Like, something that will tell us, like, okay, this is why they're involved. If they're just involved because some reason they showed up and they get swept into things, I'm cool with that too. I will be a little sad that it's these four, not in a bad way. I mean, like, you know, obviously Sting and Rogue, they're cool. Like, Sting and Rogue, I like them together they aren't as entertaining, obviously, when they're separate. Obviously, they're also a lot weaker when they're separate, so they have less, like, combat value for, like, obviously when shit hits the fan. Minerva, I'm a fan of Minerva. I obviously still prefer it when she was an antagonist rather than a protagonist. I would like that is one of the things I wish so bad I could have like just appeared in front of Mishima and been like, do not do that. Like, keep her a villain, let her climb ranks, put her in the Spriggan 12, and like let her be a big crazy villain who started as an antagonist. Like, it makes me so frustrated thinking about it because it's like Minerva had a lot of really interesting. Like, a lot of interesting potential as this, like, character who was, again, they were part of a not nice guild, but they weren't evil. And it's like, oh, she breaks off her teaching. She starts to kind of, like, go further down that line because of her dad of, like, hunger for power. It's like, there's stuff about her also that never got really delved into because of that. Like, there's one part, and it's funny because, like, there are series, lots of series have this, like, just kind of, like, plot points lost within the story, just like small ones that, like, you know, the author didn't have like some big grand plan for them, but it was like something that they wanted to add where it's like, I might do this, but it's like they don't do it. Because Minerva has that whole bit where she says she's developed a counter to Urza's Nakagami armor, but we never see exactly what she's talking about. I always thought it would make sense. It's like, oh, she started to get demon powers and curses and stuff, because like, oh, well, Nakagami works on magic, it's not going to work the same on a curse. That makes sense. But it's just like we never got to see what exactly the counter was. Like, I assume it would have to be like she somehow makes it so Urza can't requip. Lance Solo's Doom and Asta, though. He probably... it's kind of hard to say because, like, you can't count his hype right now because he can't properly utilize it. Like, the whole thing is, like, we don't have a weapon that can support his magic. That's a hype thing, but it's like a hype thing that hasn't been realized yet. It's like we don't know exactly what that amount really extends to. Based off the current feats, I definitely give Doom over Lance, and then I would probably give Lancelot over Asta because he can just not use magic, and he still sits pretty well enough within 7 Deadly Sins to where he scales really, I mean, not even really, just well over Black Clover in terms of physical strength. And it's like people... I don't get why it's like Black Clover stands don't want to just admit to it. It's like Asta gets countered by characters who are just physical fighters, and it's not a big deal. It's a counter. If a character is designed in a way that it just counteracts another person, it's not a big deal. It's like, despite Natsu's feats, dude, a Transformer gets under him and turns into a car, he's kind of fucked. It's just like, yeah, it's just he has this horrible weakness to motion sickness. If somebody can exploit that and do it properly within a good amount of time, they can easily beat him. You can beat Superman with a green rock. You could be a regular person. Superman, despite all his power and stuff, you just get to jump on him with a green piece of kryptonite. Bam, you got him. Obviously, there are different variants of Superman, but the general Superman. And it's just like, you can do that for, you can look at that for some of the other series, but it's kind of hard to do with lack of feats or like against stuff that hasn't been realized. Doom has just looked better though. Like I know people would be like, oh, I'm hitting stuff. I thought it was funny because people were talking about like, oh well, Lucifaro's got like X, Y, or Z feats, but it's like none of the things that Lucifaro has done is impressive for Doom. Because like it's impressive for Black Clover, where most characters don't have the physical strength to stand up in increased gravity. But somebody like Doom is gonna be like, yeah, whatever. My Discord is super cool. Thanks. I wanted to make it more active. That's one of the main things I've really wanted to focus on. Like, I really want to get my channel back into better swing. Obviously, I've been talking about that. It's been hard for the time of the year because of the holidays and stuff. But I do have it planned. There's a couple videos I've been meaning to get on. I'll probably have some of that uploaded. Like, there's at least one video I'll probably do. Oh, did I even do my chapter predictions for this one? I don't think so. I guess it's kind of hard because it's all we really have is the stuff with Sting and Rogue, and like it was like the stuff going to like Viernes where it's like we didn't really have anything to offer. Thank you, Jason, for the $5 super chat. Discord unban. Like I said, I'll consider it. You haven't done anything ridiculous, so if by the end of the stream, if you haven't done anything to make me think that you're not gonna behave, I will unban you from the Discord. Just behave for the stream. pushing the Lance agenda all year. That's good. Lancelot's been looking pretty cool. I wonder, it's like, once we get him with like a capable weapon though, are we gonna find out what exactly his magic does? Because it just seems to be like this like tracking power. I think it'd be really cool if it's like it is a tracking power, but it's like if the force remained innate until it met its target. Like he threw out the attack, it doesn't damage anything. It doesn't even like make a sound. It's just this kind of glowing spot. Maybe it makes a little sound, but it could pass through it, even though its energy and power doesn't do anything. But like right when it gets to the target and right when it gets it, it just fucking goes off. I think that would be really cool because like it's similar-ish to what we've seen, but it's like if it has some like neat effect like that, where it's like Lancelot can pick and choose what to damage with his magic. Like, he essentially just has this... Because he could have, like, a sword or whatever weapon he's going to use, but it's like he has this, quote-unquote, it's like light sword where it's like he can only cut down his enemies. It's one of those things. That'd be pretty sweet. The new My Hero opening? I haven't watched it yet. I've seen clips. It looks neat. I feel like one of Fairy Tail's biggest strengths is treatment of female characters. Lucy, Urza, Wendy are all excellent fighters and great characters. Mishima does really well with that. But he's brought up, like, specifically that, like, he had a lot of influential women around him growing up. Like, he grew up without a dad. I think his dad died when he was really young. So his mom and his sister and him lived at their grandparents' house. So, like, the people that he grew up with primarily was, like, his grandfather, his mom, and his sister. And so these were, like, his primary role models. So he doesn't have stuff like, Kishimoto, where Kishimoto just... doesn't, like, admittedly so, doesn't know how to write a good female protagonist. Which is really weird, because, like, he's had some good female characters. And that's the same thing with Horikoshi. It's because, like, Horikoshi has some cool female characters. It's not like he's incapable of designing one or writing one. It's just, like, Ochako and Sakura are both just sad sacks of shit. Maybe we can do some socializing Discord server, like making OC teams fights. I mean, I have the arena stuff in there. I also have the pet tab, so that's the easiest one. You just show people your pets. That's a fast way to socialize. Everybody likes to see other people's pets. Well, no, pet owners like to see other people's pets, and they like to show off their pet. So, unless there's just like people who don't like animals, I guess. You seen the last chapter, Boruto? It's crazy. Was the last one where they were, like, chatting on a bed and, like, the girls were having, like, a feelings moment talking about, like, Ida with Kawaki? Like, it's so weird. I don't like reading. Like, I just don't like reading stuff like that for Boruto because it just feels so... It's one of those things where it just feels out of place. And it feels like the author just wanted to have that in instead of something that organically flowed in. What's up, Dragon Force? How's it going? Mid-songs. Which one had mid-song? Mini clash of Arthur Meliodas and the Whiplashes. Two swings of a sword crumble a mountain from a huge distance. I'd have to go back and look at the chapter. But I mean, like, I don't think that's that crazy for Seven Deadly Sins. Like, they're like Naruto. Like, they are perfectly fine blowing out mountains and throwing mountains away. Opening art and animation doesn't matter if the song doesn't. The song did sound like another My Hero one. It didn't sound awful, but like it didn't... What is it, like the third one? I think it's the third one that has like that auto-tune. That one probably is my favorite just to hear because it sounds really nice. I heard a girl sing it before though and it sounded better. So there was room for improvement. Man, I want some influential girls in my life. Demaria. Would Demaria even... I don't know if Demaria would count. Because like Demaria... I don't think Demaria would be that influential within the verse. Because, like, the only people that would be, like, influential for women, like, in the fairy tale world, I would assume are famous people. Because, like, if... man, it makes me upset. Like, I wish so bad that we had more time in Alakatasia and to see more about Alvarez. Like, I would have loved it if we saw, like, oh, yeah... On the side, Demaria is like a model and she's like really beloved by the people. Like stuff like that. That was one of the things that makes me really frustrated because I thought we were going to get that. I thought we would spend more time over there. And because of that, it was like, in hindsight, if we did with the Spriggan 12, we could have easily had parts where it just shows a little bit of like public opinion, what else they do, and just give us a little bit about them. We've got some of that with Brandish, which has been a huge plus. And we got that with some extra stuff with Irene. But I would have loved to see it's like, oh, well, Invul is really into ice sculptures, or frickin' Neinhart is really into I don't know, grilling. He's secretly really into grilling, but he's like a poetic dude, so he doesn't want people to know that he loves grilling. I don't, stuff like that, where it's like, oh, Gajil, despite everything, one of the first things we found out about Gajil, oh, he loves music. He loves to sing and play the guitar, and he gets dressed up and stuff. So it's like stuff like that where it shows more sides to them, get you more of like more of a grasp on the characters and more to enjoy. But like Akame ga Kill did this really well with a lot of the villains and antagonists. Is they would, and it's a different structured story because they're around way more, so they have more spotlight and they need to be used more. But it's like, I wish that we just got that with like the Spriggan, just because we were in a different country, or well, we were, but we were on an entirely different continent. So it's like stuff like what was it, the day for respecting your elders, like things like that. I always really like because it just adds a little bit of flavor to, you know, whatever place they're from and whatnot. You say Toga's the only good female character of My Hero? I like Mirko as well. Is there anybody else? Oh, Burnin. I know she's not like well written or really used, but I like her. The small amounts of content we got with her, I like her, and I know people like her for design, but I like her for her personality too. I like just the interactions we got with her. She was like, she's one of those characters whenever she was on screen, it's like, oh, cool. It doesn't matter what they're doing, I'm going to read all their dialogue boxes, because whoever they talk to, it's probably going to be funny. Or it's probably going to be, you know, just generally entertaining to watch them work. Like, I liked her if she counts. I know she's like borderline a side character, but if you count her, I like her. Oh, you're looking for Dami mommies? I guess that would be just Mirko. Pretty sure Baith Arthur shadowing the mountain from which lies the swords from the long distance. Well, yeah, I mean, but I guess it kind of depends, because like the way that sword clashes would work, if it's like two swords hit and it's just a straight circle, like imagine you're fighting, there's mountain ranges literally in a ring. The swords clash, bam, all the, like, everything around is blown to dust. So it's just like, that's the general shockwave, versus like you throw an attack, it gets deflected, and then you see like in that direction, like a mountain gets dusted, where it's like more of like a honed thing rather than just full all-out force. Hope and Cobra would also make an appearance in the new arc. You will be very lucky. I will say you probably have more of a chance of Cobra getting more feats and spotlight than like before I get anything with Scullion. Today I got fired from my job and I'm starting an online business. Oh, what kind of online business are you starting? Sorry about hearing about your job, man. I was thinking about starting some form of online business, but I was thinking of doing more of like a side job, that unless it kind of got really big, it would just be a side job. But obviously I would have to get good at whatever my plans would be. Her character isn't always about being strong and when kicking ass. That's the only part of her. I know, that's the thing. It's because, like, you know, that's just a part of the character, but you know the character. It's like, you know, again, the same thing with Gajil. You know, Gajil is like this. You know, Gajil's a really good example, because we've seen so many goofy sides to him and serious sides, but also sad sides. And I think it's easier for him because of, like, his general depiction versus a lot of other characters' general depiction. Because his general depiction, he's like, you know, this 6 foot something, you know, heavy metal rock kind of like thuggish looking guy. But we know Gajil is like a product of his environment, to where he isn't a bad guy, but you put him in an environment that's very aggressive and hostile, he will adapt to that. You know, he's malleable, like, you know, it's metal being molded. But we know that he's actually like a pretty genuinely nice guy. He actually cares about the people around him. He isn't just some heartless thug. And it's like stuff like that, where it's like when you can piece all these different aspects of a character together, is when I think when characters start to get into that really good territory in general. Like, even if you have a character that isn't, well, you know, they don't have some like mega deep story, but you know enough about them as individuals. You've seen them, like I mentioned, it's like think about like early Mira Jane. We knew Mira Jane's backstory. We knew what happened to her, regardless of what she was trying, putting in effort, and was always trying to pull her weight, like regardless of anything else. And it's stuff like that, where like, even at the time where She couldn't fight. She couldn't really do anything useful. But you see, obviously, like, the sadder sides to her. We see, you saw the angrier side, a little bit of her backstory. You know enough that it's like, together it becomes a character instead of a caricature. And it's like, once they get to that point, it's just better, I think, for everybody involved. What's up, though, Crystal Sanders? How are you doing? What's your prediction for Mishima's new manga? I would really like Mishima to do, like, something really grounded, but something that would... I'm trying to think. Something really grounded and serious, but still fun, that still feels... It's like, one thing I don't want, I do not want it to not feel like something written by Mishima. Because even if Mishima does something more like M-rated, like he does a monthly where he wants to be more serious, maybe people are getting murked and having sex more or whatever, as long as it's like you get to those parts where it's like action and themes and parts where you are supposed to obviously like feel this author's style, it feels like his. Because like one thing for the people, I don't know how many people here read it, was Mario. Not Mario, Super Mario. Mario, which was a manga that Kishimoto did. He did it initially, I think, before, like, it was, like, his one-shot before Naruto, and then, but it was, like, in what he wanted to do, it's unfinished, and then he tried to do Mario, and you could look this up. He looks like Naruto. His name's Mario, and it's like this gangster, like, crime series, and, like, the only thing that resembles Kishimoto is the art style. Nothing else about it feels like it's written by him. So stuff like that is like, I don't want that to be from Mishima. Like, Mishima's just gonna try and like do something so new that it just feels like somebody else wrote it with just his art. Because it's just like, at that point, I don't know. I think Mishima won't do that though. He's pretty consistent with what he wants to do, and we already know, like, anybody who's read Mishima's manga knows that like when he wants to do stuff dark, he'll make it dark. He just doesn't prefer that because he prefers more of like a happier story. But it's like, you look at the darker events that like Demon Card was doing, what Tartaros and Grimoire Heart and stuff were doing, Shura, Draken Joe. It's like whenever Mishima wants to do something kind of dark and serious, he does it. It's just not the regular tone and theme all the time. So it's like, I think he'll be fine. I would say I'm hoping that he either does... Ooh, I was going to say a Magic series, because, like, obviously, like, Magic is, like, his foundation, but I mean, like, not Magic, but on the monsters. Like, he did Monster Soul a couple years ago, but not necessarily that, but if he made it more serious, creepy, but, like, obviously on that monster theme, and then you just have, like, all these cool kind of, like, like, what is it, there's a series that, the dude who did Golem Hearts, and, what was the other series he did? I don't remember off the top of my head. But he did Golem Hearts. And he did a one-shot called Fantasies. And I really liked that because the concept was, it was like these... It was in a fictional world, but it's like... In theme, it was like these 1930s to 40s, like, New York gangsters. But they all were, like, buffed and powered from, like, a drug that, like, gives you the abilities of, like, a creature from mythology. And, like, the main characters was, like, a Cyclops, so he could see slightly into the future, and he had, like, aggressive super strength. And, you do not something like that entirely, but it's like you have essentially turf wars between, like, these monster groups. Again, similar-ish to Monster Soul, but it's like if Mishima could take that and then, like, do the monster theme, but with, like, a much, a bit more serious tone and a little bit more, like, mature rating, just play on that with, like, a lot more ferocity, I think would be great. What's up, though, Kinmano? How are you doing today? Gajo is by far the best character development. Him and Laxus. I'd say Gajo, though, is probably one of your better ones because we've seen more general sides to him. I think the I was ringing at a store. It was breaking my legs. Back in legs. I'm just 20 about business. It's social media marketing agency. It's getting business, more clients about internet. Oh, that's good. I hope it works out for you, man. Yeah, if like the physical labor was not doing it for you, I hope this is definitely something that's more suited for you. Rather people do something that they at least somewhat enjoy doing, nothing that destroys them. Mention Miriam like character in Fairy Tail. I don't really know what that would really kind of just amount to. Some like kind of weird Cole, because this guy Miriam was like a character who was set up to be that bigger villain, but it's like he got thwarted in direction during it, so he ended up kind of being like his own dude. Like he was set up to be that big villain, but instead he's like this kind of independent, almost not nomadish, but sort of kind of like he's just his own dude, like I said. Tower of Heaven shows why she's so stoic. The main lesson of that arc is that it's okay to be vulnerable. Well, she's got to let people in. That was one of the big things about it. It's like, because you can look at it with a part of Serious Island 2 with like everybody behind her. It's not as much about being weak. It's about like being strong together, and then obviously like finding what props you up and what drives you. I think when Sheba in Wraith Mastery talked about it is really big, is when he's talking about how the weight behind, like the emotion of a swordsman impacts the weight behind it. You know, he's obviously talking about drive, and then having something like a reason to fight for and stuff is, it does more than just obviously like just mindlessly swing your sword when there's like passion behind it and stuff. When you preserve to reset the universe just to have a big three. Wait, what? Mario. Oh, I see what you did there. That'd be funny. Like, what if? Ah, hang on, there's a cat biting me. What if what is it? Like, what if he did that and it's just like, could you imagine like an alternate universe where like other, like the alternate ideas that the authors had where they're successful, like it was Mario, zombie powder stayed a thing, freaking Oda did a series about cowboys instead, Mishima did the other, like the Fairy Tail one shot where it's pretty much that new movie come out, Elemental, but with fighting in it. That'd be funny. I wish Mishima should away from going full grim dark. No, he did as much as he does in his other ones. Like Tartarus was serious. Like the arc started out with 2 back-to-back mass terrorist attacks, and like what was it, like 300 dead? And I know the council members weren't. Well, no, some of them were definitely valuable characters. Org was a valuable character. Org was a cool dude. The rest of them had been around, but they were all named characters who were at least existed. Some of them more so than others. I remember I was so upset when Grand Doma died, because I remember when he showed up, I was like, wow, this guy looks pretty cool. Look at his hat and his staff. And then it's just like he gets murked. Org though, Org was cool. He was a cool dude. But it's just like Mishima, just like it's easier for the anime people because they don't see as much of the darker shit. But it's like he's not grim dark, but he's dark when he wants to be. He just doesn't like to be. It's like, what is it, the early story in Fairy Tail where it's like that one, the author, he came home after being a captive and he immediately cut off his hand, and then like he couldn't tell his son, and his son just told him how much he hated him, and then it's like, yeah, the next day he killed himself, and it's just like, oh wow, that was real dark real fast for no reason. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. I'm just pretty much just trying to enjoy my weekend. I got like one more school assignment I got to do by tomorrow. And then I got to take my dogs out. I might clean up a little bit. I was thinking about trying to get some stuff set up. I'm still considering if I ever want to do Patreon again. But if I ever do that, I'll tell you guys though, at that point, this is going to be like post face reveal, and then I do some reaction content. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to that, but I'd like to, but we'll see. That might be a move eventually, because there's a bunch of shows that I want to watch, but I just have no incentive or no reason to go watch them. Like, I still haven't watched Mob Psycho at all, and I know it's supposed to be really good, but it's just like, I don't know. Maybe we'll do it the next couple months. Maybe we'll get started. I know some people maybe at like 5K. Maybe I'll set it for 5K. It'll be the legendary face reveal, and then I'll be like, hey guys. We'll see. There's gonna be a bunch of things in the future. The planner. I don't know. I don't know if it would be like, who gives a shit, or if it's just like it loses the small. Because I know anonymity is really cool, but it's just like, I guess I don't. It only works so much. I'll have to try and get my beard more nice before then. You gonna join me in Alucard and VC again? I might show up tonight for a little bit. I might pop in tonight for like a half hour. I just had some stuff I planned to do tonight, but it doesn't also have a set time, so I can probably work around that, kind of pop in, hang out for a little bit. Everybody here join the Discord. Let me post the Discord link if you guys want. We'll do that tonight when we'll chat for a little bit, hang out, and you guys can see what else is going on. I accidentally clicked server boost. Go back. I don't want to boost the server. What does that even do? Doesn't that just give everybody nitro? I gotta get nitro again. I haven't done it in a hot minute. But I haven't been, what am I studying for? Right now I got like 2 boring classes. But the one that, well, no, hang on. I got 1 boring class. The one that I'm doing right now that isn't that boring, it's like on the effects. It's like, the word here is, it's like how science fiction has had an effect on like humanity, like, not humanity, but like culture and like technological advances. So it's like talking about like, oh, how this, I won't even give a real example. It's like, oh, this thing from a book, this sci-fi series, this guy predicted tablets like 40 years before they came out or something like that. And then it's like, oh, well, the guy was influenced by this whatever episode of Star Trek where he saw this thing and he decided that he wanted to make that real, and that's not why we have this. And then it's like talking about like stuff like that and like how it affects on what was I saying? And like how it's just like affected like general like thought processes and inventions, but also I think it's like also like the detriments of that as well. Like for instance, the whole Terminator idea, like the Terminator apocalypse scenario where technology gets so far beyond human control, it keeps advancing without our intent, but through things like self-automation and advanced AI, to where we eventually just get overtaken by machines. And it's like one of those, it's funny because like it's from a movie, but it's one of those things where it's like it's realistic, not obviously a 1-for-1, but it's just this idea of we make technology get to the point where it doesn't need us anymore, and then it sees us as a problem. I'm going for like a computer science degree. I've been trying to like balance that. I got work, I got YouTube, and I'm trying to do more streaming stuff. Luckily this last month, last like 3 or so weeks, it's been mostly chill, because I know for the most part, like YouTube, like creators a lot of the time, unless they get mega ahead, are usually busy around Christmas time, and usually people are obviously too busy to jump in streams or do extra stuff, because I mean they got their own stuff going on. Through winter openings so far, My Hero Block Boruto, I haven't seen any of them yet. I watched a little bit of the My Hero one. We need VTuber stream debut for face reveal. What's up, Guillotine? I don't even know how to do the freaking VTuber stuff though. All that craziness in the in the Gov this last few days. What do you mean? This stuff been going on in the government? I'm telling you this right now, man. I've stopped paying attention to a lot of that stuff because it's just like, you can go onto my Twitter. I was like doing politics for a little bit, like a couple months, but it's just like, I realize who fucking cares? Because it's like, I could tell you guys right now all my political views and why exactly I think I'm right, whatever. But it's just like, I might change one person's mind, but none of the laws and the people who make them and control them, none of them give a fuck what I'm saying. So it's just like, the only time that like the individual stuff really matters is like, oh, am I voting for something? Okay. But it's just like, outside of that, who cares of like, I don't know, who cares about what's going on otherwise? Because like, you can't control anything. Unless there's like some like, mega uprising in America where it's like, listen, we gotta do this. I'm like, okay, let's go. But otherwise, I'm not joining in. You knew somebody in Fairy Tale said, Abraca? Fuck you? I guess it depends on the setup. Jokes like that only work if they're set up right. Let me get a degree. Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm trying to get something decent. I've got a very wide set of skills. But like, I don't know. Well, no, not a very wide set of skills. It's like assorted skills. Like I was telling like my brother, it's like, yeah, I'm forklift certified, and he's like, are you serious? Really? It's just like, probably none of the jobs that I otherwise can get. Like I can either do like certain things, or I can just do something like that. Or it's like, I don't want to do whatever X, Y, and Z I already have otherwise experience on. I can just do a warehouse and drive a forklift. It's just like, or I can do like, I got like 2 or 3 fields, maybe 4 that I can kind of like reach out in. But luckily one of them is just, hey, I've been certified to drive a forklift. I've driven a forklift for over 2 years. And it's like, well, that's one of the only qualifiers for this one. Fantastic. And it's sweet. Whenever robots will make their revolution of switching sides, rejected my humanity, JoJo. Ooh. Imagine an alternate timeline where Dio was a robot instead of a vampire. That'd be sick. I don't give a crap about politics. Yeah, it's like, when I thought about it, it's just like, because people now take it too seriously, where it's like, if it's like, oh yeah, we have different politics, I just, okay, whatever, who cares? Let's talk about fucking manga, or let's talk about games or a movie or something, or like I'll talk about pretty much anything over politics, because when it comes down to it, the only thing that people want to talk about when it comes to politics is they want the other person to switch to their side, and not like the way that it's like, oh, let's talk about these 2 characters fighting. It's gonna be fun. There should be, for the most part, a definitive winner, but at the same time, there's like a sport to it where it's just like the people talking about politics just want to yell at each other, and it's just kind of boring. There's this thing called Vroid. You can make easy and free 3D model with that work with your camera. See, I want to learn how to do 3D modeling, but I want to do that for like a work thing. So I really want to get a 3D printer. Hey, check my videos. You're not obliged. I haven't yet. I have been very busy lately. I can probably put some time, maybe like tomorrow. I will say I don't. I'll tell you this. Hang on one second. I will check some out. I won't watch a lot of them, only because like this is a me thing. This isn't a thing for you. It's weird for me to watch videos for people that I've talked to. Like, it's already weird for me if I have to listen to my own voice, but it's like, it's weird if, for instance, the only videos for Quan I watch are his Fortnite's reviews. Mainly because like he's like my Fortnite's contact, but also there's the only ones that's like only one I want to put my time to. Like, whereas like I've put out a Black Clover video, I wouldn't want to watch it because it's just like I talk to him regularly, so it's weird. It's weird for me to like watch a pre-recording of somebody that I've talked to. Like, I've done that before, where it's like I've talked to watched YouTubers, and then I've talked to them in Discord, and then it's like it's hard for me to watch their videos after that point. Not in a weird way. It's just like a personal thing for me. I don't know why. I think it's kind of like I think it's kind of why I don't like to talk to people that I know on the phone. Like, I don't like to talk to family members on the phone. Like, if I'm at a thing, like a social gathering or whatever, or like, it's easier for me in like instant messaging too, but like it's weird for me to talk to them on the phone. I just don't like it. But like I said, I think it's just because like for me, there's like something strange about types of different like distance communication that for me, once I like hear the voice of somebody that I've made either direct contact with or I've like actually talked to one-on-one before, or maybe not like one-on-one, but like maybe in chats, or like you hear their voice in real time, like you're not in a stream, like you are directly communicating with them. Because it's like I've talked to you before a couple times in VC, and obviously I do plan on getting into VC more come out, but for me, I'll watch one. I'll definitely check one out. I guess we have 2. I'll probably check both out unless they're like really long. Haku's as short as Wendy. I think he's a little shorter because he's got the hood on. Real person, not a YouTube bot. It's not that like it's they're a real person. It's like once I've made it past that initial chat barrier, where it's like, think about it like this. There are celebrities you'll see regularly in shows and movies, but you'll probably never meet them. So it's like, in a way, they are... It's like, in a way, they exist, but not in a way that you'll ever have to really acknowledge it outside of, entertainment. Oh, hang on, my dogs are trying to wrestle. Why are you guys trying to wrestle when I'm in the middle of stuff? Stop it. Excuse me, good sir. Go lay down. It's just kind of weird for me at that point. I don't know why. It's always been like that. Like I said, like I don't like talking to people on the phone. Like when my mom calls me or somebody, and it's just like, I just don't like it. it does escalate in levels. Like, I don't like to video chat more with people that I know, unless it's in a group. Like one-on-one, it's the same. But like if it's in groups, like the more people, the less. I don't know. That's just a me thing, though. Like, I know a lot of people have their own icks and like their own things that they don't like. That just, it's their own thing that they developed either through habit or something subconscious. And it's just like it's hard to kind of really argue against it from anybody's sides. Because it's like, if it's something that they don't either understand or it's just so ingrained into their subconscious or their everyday way of interaction that it's hard. I imagine it'd be hard to stop. Like, it's difficult for me to chat with people if I haven't before in VC. Like, because it's like, once I get, because let me think like this. If I haven't talked to somebody, I'll be very honest, and this is the easiest way I can describe it. It's difficult for me to talk to people I haven't as well. But once I get through, like, that barrier of, like, uncomfortability, it's easier for me to talk to them. But as that easiness factor goes up, it makes it so, like, I would want to, like, do something, like, listen to a video or, like, listen to a pre-recording of their voice or do, like, a phone call or, like, types of video chat even more. Like, there's I should draw a graph, like, a scale of comfort. Like, in one area that I become more extroverted and less introverted, I become more introverted and less extroverted. Like, somebody I don't really know, I could talk to them on the phone just fine or watch a video. But it's like, once I know them at least at a decent level, it's weird for me to do that. I don't know why. Pepsi or Coke? Depends. Is it regular or is it like, does that include variants? Because like, I don't really like I can drink both just fine, but I don't like to drink them in large quantities. My dad used to always get, I can't remember if it was the wild cherry Pepsi or I think it was wild cherry Pepsi. It's like, I remember certain sodas I would only ever be able to have because my dad would buy them. Because like, he just would have like these soda kicks for a while. And so he would keep cases that would like he would just keep a couple cases somewhere. Like, he would have 3 or 4 cases of I think it was wild cherry Pepsi, unless it was diet. I think it was just regular wild cherry Pepsi. And it would be like, he'd keep them for months, but it'd be like in a spot that you would have to locate them. And then once you locate them, it was like every once in a while you'd take a soda out of there. So it's like, I have fond memories of that soda to where I could probably drink a lot of it. Whereas probably Coke and Pepsi by themselves, like the regular ones, I wouldn't be as fan of. Where it's like, it was wild cherry Pepsi, and I think it was the vanilla Coke. If people remember that one, it kind of had like a Christmassy can design. I don't know if they still sell them. I don't drink either of those individually. Like, I never go for those ever at the store. The only way I'd probably ever do it if I randomly just had like a wave of nostalgia and I really wanted to get them. But otherwise, it's like, if I see them, I'll drink them at like, at some form of event. But otherwise, I don't get them. Wendy losing Irene is Naruto losing Kurama. Not really, because Kurama directly played into Naruto's power capabilities. Because now Naruto can't do certain things with Kurama's chakra that he used to be able to do all the time. And have they acknowledged, like, the extent of, like, how much of Kurama's chakra is just fused into Naruto? Like, how strong he is by default, even without Kurama? And obviously he's still strong, but it's not like he's not nearly as strong. But Wendy was only had a power buff from Irene the first time. The rest is more of a knowledge thing. It's like, think about it like this. Naruto lost a gun, Wendy lost a book. One is obviously, like, direct, I got this shit, I can cause havoc, and I've got damage that I can put out. And then Wendy's just like, hey, this is a book on poisons or whatever. I can develop all these things around it and do all these different kinds of variations. I just have to put in the effort and knowledge and stuff. It's similar-ish. They both lost, like, a backseat kind of aid character, but Naruto's was way more into actually how he operated as a fighter than how Irene was into Wendy. The kind of guy to drink Crystal Pepsi. I don't remember the last time I had a Crystal Pepsi. Like, I think I had a Crystal Pepsi in, like, 2002. I know they're still occasionally out there. I don't remember what Crystal Pepsi tastes like. Wasn't it just Pepsi but clear? Vanilla, Coca-Cola, and Pepsi Mango are the best ones. I wouldn't have had the mango. I don't like the taste of mango. I'm not a fan. Mango and peach. I don't know which one I dislike more, but I'm not a fan of either of those flavors at all. Vanilla Coca-Cola, though, is good. In comparison Irene to a book? No, it's more of like Irene. Irene was there, and she would show up, and she would teach Wendy stuff. Where it wasn't like she said, Wendy, let me turn your attack from a 5 to a 10. It was instead of, hey, instead of doing that, let me just show you how to do something completely new that's better for this scenario. And it's more of like that. Because Kurama, Naruto would just like... Does Naruto have anything from Kurama that did anything other than like straight offense? Like Irene, conceptual enchantments, separation enchantments, stuff like telling her about Superior. In general, like I imagine she showed her stuff off screen as well, just because we did see them talking to where we didn't see what Irene was saying. But it's just like she can provide things for Wendy as an enchantress, and because enchanting is pretty much one of the most free-ranged magics in the series, it gives her way more value to have somebody who is a master of the subject. Like, think about it like this. I'll give another one. Think about it like this. You have two people. You have, say, Naruto is a boxer, Wendy is a computer programmer. Both of them are like, man, I really want to climb to the top of my field. Suddenly, Kurama shows up. Kurama is a world-class boxer, but he is only a master of, like, a couple areas of boxing. He knows how to... I wish I knew more about boxing to make a better kind of comparison, but it's like he knows how to do certain types of offense and defensive moves and, like, feints and, whatever combination of things in boxing there is. But it's like, oh, well, here comes Irene. Not only is she an amazing computer programmer, but she's also into cybersecurity. She's also gifted in 5 languages. She's also got marketing capabilities that she can put in there. Like, she brings way more to the table for Wendy than what Kurama brought for Naruto. It's just not even close. Final Getsuga Tensho versus Baryon mode. I'd go Baryon mode. Here's the thing about the Final Getsuga Tensho is, like, that Mugetsu, they're hype. They're supposed to be like the pinnacle, like near the pinnacle of things in Bleach. Kubo even said that, like, that Mugetsu is like the strongest singular attack, I think, in Bleach. At least as of when he said it, it would apply to that point. And it's like the only time things ever got to that, in Bleach, like transcendent, like when chakra, Ryatsu levels were where, they get past like a threshold level to where certain levels of like big levels couldn't feel certain others. And I think that I'm still in the agreement with, like, all his rambling about extra dimensional things. It's just like him making up excuses to losing, because I think that makes sense. But Aizen, where am I going with Aizen? Ichigo. It's said that attack is supposed to be really huge, but it's like we don't know a description of it. We don't really know a whole lot. Where it's like Baryon mode, we know how Baryon mode works, and Baryon mode is not like it lasts longer than the Final Getsuga Tensho. So it's like I'd rather use Baryon mode. Plus, it's like when Baryon mode goes out, you lose Kurama, but you don't lose your chakra. Whereas, like, when you use Mugetsu, that's it. You lose your powers. What's your favorite dessert? Mine are ice cream and funnel cakes. Distance third is deep fried Oreos. One time, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had some caught in my throat. I like one of them off the top of my head. I like regular cheesecake. Like, plain, the standard cheesecake is one of my favorites. Like, some things added to are good, but I really like the base cheesecake. I think if I was gonna pick any one dessert otherwise, it might be like if I can say like a combo, like probably like good brownies and vanilla ice cream. That's another thing. It's like vanilla ice cream. Out of the ice creams, if I had to pick a favorite, vanilla would definitely be in the top 3. Just because, like, it's like Eevee. It's so standard, but you can turn it into everything. And I feel like when you put, additional toppings and stuff in vanilla, I feel like it's better in it. Unless it's, like, a specific thing. Because I would assume it doesn't, like, the flavors don't distort as much with, like, a stronger flavor of ice cream versus vanilla if you put something in there. Like, you put a strawberry in the chocolate one, you're probably going to be tasting more of, like, the chocolate than the strawberry, versus, like, you put it in the vanilla, you can probably be tasting the strawberry way more. And in a War Art, Kurama was one of the main dudes of strategy. He's even smarter than Kakashi. Yeah, it was weird that he was randomly really smart. I'm happy of Zeref reset the universe, but completely released on new characters, new power systems. I wouldn't have liked that. My theory at the time of was that he was going to reset the universe, but Natsu was going to go with him. And it would have been like Zeref would have like imagine like Zeref lost all his power, or it's like maybe it's like they're fighting in like, oh god man, I just had a cooler idea. Like the universes are being reset, they're the only ones there, and like Natsu has to keep certain things from happening, or like prevent Zeref's influence. Like imagine it's like they go through the door, they're in some weird void space where it's like you just see events in time. But it's like looking at all these like monitors, not like actual TVs, but it's like that kind of, there's just a screen in space. It's just there. And it's like Zeref has to reach and touch like a certain one. And so Natsu just has to fight him and prevent him from getting to that or something. I don't know. But you can't name 7 Blue Pegasus members. Okay. Eve, Ren, Hibiki, Bob, Karen, Nichia, Ichia, Jenny Realight. Are there any more good people off the top of my head? Technically Laxus, if you really want to count it. Technically all of the Thunder Legion too. So that's another 4 people, because they were in there for a while. Bam. Blue Pegasus, right on you. But yeah, real quick, I'll just throw this out there real quick because we haven't done it yet in the stream. We're actually an hour in and I haven't done one show. That's pretty good. Real quick, if you haven't yet, thumbs up the stream. We got 15, 16 people in here and only 10 likes. I'm pretty sure if you guys could hit it a couple more times. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'd really appreciate it if you think that I've earned enough of your entertainment that if you could throw, even $1 my way helps. Otherwise, there's a membership in there. If you just want to donate $1 or $2 a month, that really helps. I know, like I said, I've been slacking a little bit. There's videos that I've got planned coming up. And then I do, in fact, plan on doing the Tuesday reaction stream. I wasn't going to with my plans where they were, a couple days ago. But I've since readjusted those plans, so we will be doing that. And then I'll probably start looking into... my dogs keep trying to wrestle. I'll probably start looking into some games and stuff. I was thinking about, I got to redo my Dark Souls. Not redo, continue my Dark Souls one. Because I think that's still on my channel. And then there's a couple games I really wanted to play through. Like that Dark and Darker is a game I want to play, but that's not coming up for a while. Blasphemy I want to play because that game... Well, I feel like I got to play that game on my own. I'm not good at directing in that game, like getting directions. So it's like I get lost easy. I don't know how entertaining that would be. But back to that for like my members. Like I want to put out like the normal videos for just kind of like fun extra stuff, playing games and chatting and whatnot. Zeref should be the final villain on Acnologia. The thing is, like, here's my theory. I say it's a theory just because like I have no way to prove certain things, but I feel like it makes sense. I still think that in the second half of Alvarez, Mishima had already come up with his plan to, quote unquote, end the series, get 100 Years Quest at something that it's not directly drawn by him, but he has a hand in it. He does the writing. He can do Eden Zero, and pretty much everything that led up to post Chapter 545, because there's a lot of rushing as soon as Universe 1 goes off. And I think Mishima knew that he had to do certain things to get his plan to go through. And he needed to prioritize certain things. And between August and Irene, I think he picked Irene because Irene is a much more important character to the overall story because she invented dragon slaying magic. Obviously really big. And then Zeref and Acnologia. But it's like you pick between Zeref and Acnologia. Zeref had way more build-up, way more story, way more reason to be the more focused antagonist than Acnologia. Oh, excuse me, I'm busy. Whereas I think the way that he set it up with Acnologia in the last couple chapters at least had a really strong segue into the 100 Years quest. Like, if he didn't, like, it would, he could have still done similar things, but, like, he would have had to change like, it would have been really hard to do, I think, in some areas. Like, Acnologia couldn't have broken out of the space between time. He would have, like, instead of having to, you know, get rid of him, have it to be, like, he's locked up. But then at that point, it's like, well, is he going to break out? What's his plot going to be with the Dragon Gods? And how exactly is he going to play into everything, like, you know, moving forward? Is he going to be in anything, or is it just going to be, like, a lingering plot point? Skyrim playthrough? Listen, man, I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you this 100%. I've never played Skyrim. I've never played through Skyrim. I don't know really the story. The only thing I know about Skyrim is, like, a couple of, like, the spells, the dragon spells, and I know a little bit of the story because my brother used to play it all the time. If people want me to play through Skyrim, I will, but it's like, it would have to be one of those things where I would have to get enough members for it to really kind of matter, because, like, how much is it even on Steam? Isn't Skyrim, like, still, like, $20 or $30? Because, like, the one thing I really want to do with it is, like, I either want to play games I already own, or I want to, you know, get to the point where I can use money from, like, memberships and, like, playthroughs. You know, it's like, oh, I'm playing this game. Oh, and this, you know, over the course of whatever, these last 5 or 6 streams, we made, I don't know, $60. Let's take that $60 and put it towards another game to play for the stream. Like that, where it's like, I can get games by playing games to entertain people. Like, it's you know, I don't have to spend my own money, but it's like, oh, well, if, you know, this is entertaining enough, then, you know, it's worth it for, you know, whatever game comes next kind of thing. Where it's like, kind of like, again, I don't have to spend my own money, but it's like I earned it through entertainment of the people, and I'm trying to kind of continue on with that, you know? Where, like, it's beneficiary for both parties kind of thing. Where it's not just like, I only want to play games if people buy them for me, but also I don't want to buy games that I plan on streaming and then just never play, and it's just a waste of money, you know what I mean? That's a bummer. Eden Zero's about to end. Eden Zero's not about to end. Like, there's a whole arc going on. Like, I assume, because here's how Eden Zero formatting wise has been. It's been similar to Black Clover, where it's multiple kind of like set mini arcs. There's a very definitive cut in space of events, and then there's like a new kind of flow change for the story. Like, everything up until about where Ziggy came back, and then everything up until that, and then the time skip, and then time skip to current. Sort of. Because it's like, time skip to current includes, obviously, going to Universe Zero, but I don't know. Oh, you're talking about Genshin? I don't know anything about Genshin. That'd be the same thing. It'd be like, I'd only play a game like that if we ever got to the point where it's like, people are essentially, again, it's not like, it sounds weird because it's like, oh, you know, they're paying you to play, but it's like, I guess in a way, it's like, yeah, they if you entertain somebody in like a group enough that they want to pay you pretty much to play X or Y game. I guess it's a big W. Lots of people do that anyway. My dog is looking at something, but I don't know what she's looking at. Hey, come here. Lay down. She's supposed to be hanging out with me, so she's trying to learn to be more chill. You're fine. Lay down. I'm trying to teach her how to be friends with cats. Here, like, rivalries like Zoro and Sanji. I guess sort of. The thing about Zoro and Sanji that always confuses me more is like, because like, they're on a team, and I feel like after a while, well, I was gonna say after a while they would probably get over it, but it's like they're barely actually around each other, and the Straw Hats don't really talk. And it's like, in the context of their time together, they've only really spent, like, what, like, a handful of months together on the ship. I was going to say the Going Merry, but it's like, I guess they were on the Going Merry and then the Thousand Sunny. I know a decent amount. Favorite type of music and who's my favorite artist? I don't think I really have a favorite artist, but it's like, if I had to pick one genre, it'd probably be metal. Oh, Ufotable is making a Genshin anime? That's probably going to either... Like, that to me is either big flop or big hit. Because it's either going to be like, oh, we put the, you know, high-rolling team on it because It's one of the, maybe it'll be one of those projects where it's like they had an idea, but it's because there's so many characters where they don't have a good direction, and so it's really weird when executed. Or it's gonna be one of those that like it just ends up being amazing. So I hope for the latter. I hope it does well. One second. This dude I'm arguing with, he just makes shit up. He's like saying like, oh well, because I was talking about Lucifaro's gravity, and I was saying like Lucifaro's gravity didn't even kill Seki. He's like, well, Seki never got under it, and I showed like, yes, he did. You can see it. He's like, oh well, yeah, but he's only using 1% of his power. Where are you getting 1% from? Reread the discussion. And it's just like, where are you getting 1% from? I don't know what happened with Black Clover. It's weird because like Black Clover doesn't have a lot of the like they don't have like a shipping problem. There's not really much for infighting. Like the main problem for Black Clover as like a fandom, the thing that's like them that they're really annoying about, is pretty much oh yeah, I lost my train of thought. One second. Shit, where was I going? I got distracted. I got super distracted. Oh, it's just like them just being a power level people. Black Clover sounds like scaling fits. It's just like certain people. It's because it's like you'll get those guys. It's like the same thing, and I was talking about it earlier. It's like this dude, and I was like talking about like feats as far as like, well, he was hyped up to being a threat to the continent and humanity, and it's like, well, hype doesn't mean shit if one actually demonstrated it's nowhere near that. Like hype works if it's credible. And there's reasoning for it to be believable. Like for instance, the dragon gods all being hyped to being, you know, threats to the whole planet and being, you know, world level threats and destroyers. It's like, oh, well, they're also, you know, supposedly as powerful as Acnologia. So it's like, okay, you have stuff to line it up both in, you have information, you have something to compare it to, you have inverse lore stuff, obviously dragons, and then it's like, oh, well, their god title isn't just something threw on there, it also has to do with power, so you have another reasoning to say, like, okay, so another thing that kind of backs up their position, and then you actually get Selene doing things that are, like, at, like, you know, affecting multiple planetary bodies, but, like, a large planetary levels of feats, and she's like, oh, yeah, all the dragon gods are, like, the same power as me, and it's just like, okay, there you go, believable, but if it's just, like, oh yeah, a character said it, that's it. Somebody said it, and then you're just like, well, it's facts because a character said it. And then they bring up the classic argument. It's like, well, it's by the author. It's like, no, it's by a character in context of the series. A character saying it is completely different than the author saying it. Because in the context of the story, the characters go off of what they know and what they have at their disposal and what they have really to kind of, you know, really chat about. They can't talk about things that they otherwise wouldn't have the ability to know. Where it's like if Tabata or any author says that they're speaking from realistically a point of fact. Here's going to piss off Black Clover fans. I'm now to bitch slap Austin and W. I already did that. I have ADHD. I don't think I have ADHD. Notice that Misaki and Hawker are the only Dragon Slayers who don't have the reveals of the dragons they ate. Well, out of the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights, maybe we'll get that in the future. I still was like really wanting to get some form of like skirmish couple chapters where Diablos and Fairy Tail like just fought a little bit. When they return, I think is going to be really interesting to see what what is Mishima's plan going to be with them? Because he's sending him to go get Athena, but like I figured they would go get Athena as a group, or maybe Athena will be kind of somewhere else that they have to kind of get to. Because it's like the thing about it's going to be weird is if they get Athena off screen. Versus, like, what I'm kind of hoping. It's like, oh, well, they get there. Oh, well, Viernes has already gotten it. And now they have to team up because they have to actually go about it. Because I think that would be great. It's because it'd be like you have Selene in there. You have to go out of your way to nerf Selene. Like, we have to be like, Selene, we have to, like, they do something that, like, like gives her like some form of bracelet or something where it's like, oh, this will weaken your magic, just don't take it off. Celine has to essentially kind of like be undercover and not really be noticed because like, oh well, they're in whatever Viernez's territory is, and maybe Viernez would strike immediately if he knew Celine was there, which I think would make sense. But it's like Celine doesn't, like, obviously Celine wouldn't want to fight Viernez with Athena, so it's like you could have Celine in the arc without her just being like this overpowered fix everything kind of character. You have to go out of your way to make it so she can't be that character. I think Asta and Natsu make good friends. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned most main characters would. Laxus beat Gildarts easily now? I don't think so. Like, Laxus compared parts of him to Gildarts, but it's like, one, that's just a comparison off of what Laxus knows. We don't know if Laxus has fought the full power, like, current Gildarts. But also, he's not going to have the whole being able to eat a part of somebody's abilities and get stronger. And he didn't do it the whole time, but, like, obviously at the end, when he ate Alexion's soul, that's something that would not be a factor when it came to Gildarts. Like, that wouldn't, nothing like that would happen. Just one of those things, man. It's like this guy just doesn't want to. One sec. Like this dude, if you guys want to, well, no, never mind. I retract that. I don't like the idea of sicking people on anybody else. If you want to look at it, it's on Twitter. It's pretty funny. Soon to be a better guild master than Georg was. You just wrote George. The rest didn't care about it. Man, that upset me a little bit. Not like a lot, but I really liked the idea that Georg was like they respected him. But I guess not. I guess he was a jerk. That to me says two things. Either Mishima is going to, like, it was either just to kind of make it so like nobody would care to hear about Georg, get him out of there. We don't need to even think about him as like in flashbacks. But I feel like it's more like because the whole, oh yeah, somebody in Gold Owl can do human transmutation and pretty much make animated dead people. Oh, Diablos members, like I got an opponent for you. Laxus, the next guild master. That's who I think it should be. I think if anybody was going to be after Makarov, like Gildarts is somebody that like obviously you'd pick, but personality wise, obviously it doesn't fit. Like the only person otherwise in the guild I think is a really like would be a really good candidate for guildmaster would be Lucy, but only in like certain aspects, because like there's a lot of like aspects of Lucy that has like a similarish tone and feel for like Mavis. But Laxus, I think Laxus would be a much better rounded guild master because like he fits more corners of guild master. I think like as like a spot for guild master than where Lucy would or anybody else in the guild would. Lady Nagant, man, I don't even want to talk about her. I get annoyed when I think about like interesting characters in My Hero that just kind of got introduced for no reason. Like Horikoshi would do that a lot. Like it's just like it's not like Oda and Mishima both do a really good job at this. So does like Shima Bakuro. Nakaba does a pretty good job. Whenever it's like this is a character I don't care about, just get rid of them. Or like, oh, I need to design a character to be in like these 2 chapters. Like they're not important. It's like they draw somebody either that's really goofy or like looks generically cool, but like has a little bit different about him to make him not just be like a generic looking bad guy. Or it's like, oh, well, this guy's just like a bad guy. Where it's just, oh, with My Hero, we're gonna keep making like cool characters that seem like they're gonna be like longer running and interesting, and then nope. Like, there's so many faces in My Hero that I've forgotten about. Somebody brought up the dude from one of the student training bits, like the guy who like it touches you and he turns you into this weird little meatball with like fingers and shit coming out of it. It's like, what happened to that guy? Why isn't that guy participating? The Diablos and the Straw Hats, would you get along with whom? Out of the Straw Hats and Diablos? I mean, the easiest ones, I would get along with Haku and Chopper, just because they seem like you'd just be nice to them, and they're probably pretty nice back. I don't think I'd get along with Zoro. I probably wouldn't get along with, I don't know. It's kind of hard with Scoleon, because, like, Scoleon, he looks intimidating. Like, none of the Diablos members are really that kind of, like negative in certain ways. Like, I don't want to hang out with Luffy. Luffy does not shower. He picks his nose and he wipes it on stuff. So he's clearly dirty. He clearly stinks. He does only physical stuff, too, so he probably just smells of salt and sweat and shit. No. Luffy, personality-wise, seems like... Well, no, because actually, personality-wise, I feel like it'd be really annoying to be around Luffy, like, a good chunk of the time. Because, like, I know people like Luffy's antics, but imagine you're somebody that's regularly, like, on Luffy's team and for whatever reason, and it's, like, the fact he always, like, ruins the plans... And it's just like he will go against plans for random reasons that come up in the moment. And it's like for some people it works, but it's like I imagine if you were there, you would just be annoyed. You'd just be like, God fucking damn it, Luffy, what are you doing? Because it's like imagine being Law. And it's like, yeah, like there's an effective level to like how things turn out. But it's like, why do we always have to do this? Why do things always have to get out of hand in some ridiculous way that shouldn't have gotten out of hand? Well, Luffy, no, because Luffy's nice. It's not like he's a typical pirate in terms of his personality. He just doesn't shower and he's dirty and he stinks. But it's just like, in terms of his personality, like, Luffy will just, he's impulsive in a lot of ways. And it's like, to a degree where it's like, you don't have as much of, like, restraint as, like, you know, certain characters could hold back. Obviously, there's like, a line where most of them are just going to be like, nuh-uh. Like, you know, somebody tries to kill a child or something, or, like, some defenseless old woman, they're going to be like, yeah, I can't just kind of stand here. But it's, like, it's quicker, obviously, for, like, Luffy, I think, because, like, I can't think of any other main characters that, like, as consistently, like, wreck plans and strategies. Because, like, usually, like, for instance, Natsu usually goes with whatever strategy and plan they come up with. Where it's, like, Luffy just always says, like, yeah, I wasn't listening to that plan, it just does his own thing. But it's, like, at the same time... Like, again, imagine you were the guy that set up the plan, or it's like you were some, like you were part of the plan or something. It's like, yes, as long as we get these done, it's going to go well. Okay, we're at step 2 of 5. We're making good progress. And then you just see Luffy completely wreck the plan, and it's just like, thanks. Thanks, dude. Misaki and Robin is going along, probably Suzaku and Zoro. Oh, I thought we were talking about me. Oh, who would get along with whom? I was, like, reading that as, like, who would you get along with these groups? I'm like, I don't know. I guess it really just kind of depends on the interactions. Like, I don't think really any of them are going to get along with Kirin. Suzaku probably won't talk to most of them. I don't know. I guess that depends, though, if they're in a battle or like a kind of, like, calm scenario. Because if they're in some form of battle, we know that he's just going to swords out. There's no hating on Jalal here, same meaning. This is a Jalal friendly zone. Oh, new friends with an anime character. If I was gonna be friends with an anime character, like realistic, like you only could be friends. Cause like if I could pick, like what if you pick somebody like Kaiba who's like super rich, and then it's like Kaiba, listen, I need you to employ me. Listen, I need you just to like. He's gonna say, what do you need? Or not like that. It's like what can you do that I need? And I'd be like, what I'll do is I will make sure that you have a Blue Eyes statue in every room. And that there will be no confusion of when you order Blue Eyes shaped vehicles. And you'd be like, God damn it, you're the man for the job. They got me a regular jet last time I bought one. And I'd be like, that shit's not going to happen under my watch. Blue Eyes jets only. That would be the move. Kaiba and I would have a plan. We would definitely move around some strategies and make sure this goes well. Usopp can't beat Jalot's goofy. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here. It's a regular stream. We are gonna have the Tuesday stream. Depending on what happens, I'll say this. Depending on what happens will determine the length of the stream. Like if it's like last chapter where it's like we kind of got through it real fast, it's probably like an hour or so, hour and a half like this. If it's a hype chapter, we can go for like 2-3 hours, get something real freaking sweet. We'll see though. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. I just really wanted to do a stream tonight and kind of chit chat with you guys and see what's going on, just kind of hang out a little bit. I might do one. Let me see real quick. I might do a stream on Monday. I probably won't do a stream tomorrow. I might do a short stream on Monday, and then I'll definitely do one on Tuesday.